What is up? And welcome to a very special Halloween edition of Worth a Watch with me, Anthony Floods, also known as Iron Man for this time of the month. I can't breathe. Not literally, but not all costumes are comfortable. Wow. Welcome to all this unedited glory. Wow. But I had to dress up as a little bit of something. I loved this sweater. This thing is fucking awesome. I am a big nerd for wearing this. But hey, it's Halloween time. Whether you're watching this before or after the fact, either way, we're going to talk about some of my personal favorite horror movie / horror themed films. What I mean by that is these aren't the scariest movies of all time sort of list. This is just legit movies that are scary, they could be funny, most of them are funny because I love comedy, and when you have those two genres together, they just seem to click, and there's been a lot of good horror comedies as of late, so yes, let's see, got my notes, got everything, bear with me, let's see. Top 13. Here we go. Number 13 is a movie I've only seen up until last year. And it's a masterpiece for a reason. That is the classic John Carpenter Halloween. It's only so low on this list because, again, I barely witnessed this awesome movie last year. I watched it with some friends for the first time, and I love the atmosphere. The atmosphere is what forever is stuck in my mind. That very creepy, slow flowing of the wind in just the neighborhood. Everything about this movie, John Carpenter's direction, his score, a true masterpiece, and it's a shame on me for not have seen it sooner. Number 12 is an underrated movie in my opinion because number one, nobody really saw it, but it was a minor hit in the summertime of 2009. And that movie is Orphan. Yes, there have been many evil children type movies in the past, namely the main one named out of the bunch is The Omen. I've never seen any of those movies, by the way, so I really don't care about those. But Orphan had such a huge twist and such surprisingly awesome acting from some really surprisingly decent people in this movie. Vera Farmiga from Up in the Air, and Peter Sarsgaard. Sadly, we'll know him as Hector Hammond from Green Lantern for a while. But aside from that, some really solid acting from them, as well as the little girl who plays Esther, the orphan, if you will, played by Isabel Furman. She just had such a great presence on screen as this very mysterious little girl. You find out there is something truly wrong with Esther, and it's something... whew! So awkward and sick, and for those of you who say you saw the ending coming, go fuck yourselves because there's just no way. It's not mind-blowing, but it's just more of just like the movie just went there and I'm disturbed. Number 11, it's a bit of a twofer. I'm gonna cheat with this one so early in the list as well. My bad. It's my list. Who cares? Paranorman and The Nightmare Before Christmas. Two very wonderfully animated films. One is obviously a huge classic by now, and one is a newly released film from last year, my number 2 best film of last year. And it's why put them on the same list. Well, number one, they have so much in common. I couldn't leave either one of them out. And I really enjoy animation. I love animation. As an artist, I just go berserk on the character design, just the voice work as well. I just love all the people involved with both films. Tim Burton and Danny Elfman. Unfortunately, I cannot remember the names of the directors in this film, but they did the Coraline film beforehand. I've yet to see that movie. But all the voice talent behind it, and just the ideas that are put out there, borderline spoofing the whole horror genre, and just not talking down to kids. It just had such subtle, quick, rapid-fire jokes. The infamous character that turned out to be, well, not someone they turned out to be. Yeah, it's awkward for me to say, but I'll just an animated character that turned out to be gay. Granted, that is very common nowadays, and that's great. I'm happy for changes like that for the people who care about that kind of stuff. But this is the first time I've ever seen it in a stop-motion children's film. So some parents, I think, actually had some issue with that movie, with the movie Paranorman, for something like that, the quick twist that happened. Overall, stupid shit like that aside, because that's pointless. The visuals, the stories on both films are iconic in my opinion. I hope Paranorman garners a solid cult following over the years. It deserved more praise. It definitely was robbed at the Oscars. It should have been that or Wreck-It Ralph that should have won. And, well, Nightmare Before Christmas, that's just a fucking staple for both Halloween and Christmas time. Tim Burton and Henry Selick at the helm, and just Danny Elfman's score. I could go on. I could make a whole video on some of these movies, actually. But we shall move on to number 10, which is a very underrated thriller horror film, 1408, starring John Cusack and Samuel motherfucking Jackson. Nick Fury himself, as a hotel owner, trying to warn John Cusack not to enter his hotel room of the number 1408. For those of you who travel often, if you've yet to see this movie, do yourselves a favor and don't. Because trust me, you will not want to go in there. It's a terrifying feeling just being trapped in a fucking room. And while some people just have basic fears, if you have a claustrophobic type situation, a fear, a phobia of that kind of stuff, this movie will amplify the experience all the more for you, and it will make you feel very uncomfortable in a hotel room if you're watching this movie and just really getting into it. It's very disturbing imagery. There's very, very, very good acting though. Samuel L. Jackson did what he could because it was really a smaller role than I remember it. And John Cusack, one of his most underrated roles to date. He was so good. He actually took the whole role seriously. He was very, very good and very convincing in the dramatic parts. Believe it or not, there's some dramatic elements in this movie where that room can fuck with you in more ways than you could imagine. And it's so good and so underrated, and I highly recommend it. I think I'll be separating this into 3 parts. Sorry, midway segue. I really don't want this to be too long, especially being unedited. But regardless, I just wanted to get a video up, definitely in time for Halloween. Talk about some good horror films for y'all. So thank you for watching this part, and stay tuned for parts 2 and more than likely 3, if this all works out. So feel free to comment below on what are your thoughts about the picks that I've had thus far. So stay tuned and see you in the next video.